All right, you're recording? So, you're meeting. All right. Okay, we're going to start. Okay, everybody's here. Oh, they're still talking. If you're here for the new painting class, you're in the wrong room. Or it's across the quad and building G. So,
Get out of here.
Yeah. Well, we wandered into there before, so just be aware. So tonight we're going to be talking about programming locomotives using JMRI. I wrote this up based on somebody that didn't even know how to run a computer and how to even turn it on over there for my friend Ray here.
Yeah. Thank you.
And then pass them around. If you guys have a copy, take it with you. Any extras I'm going to leave over by the computers for anybody else who comes in and needs to know how to use it.
Thank you so much, Wayne.
You are welcome.
Is this nature or in scale?
I'll keep this one, I don't need it.
They're still passing out the notes, and that's basically what I'm going to go over is the notes there.
I know everything on it.
Yeah, okay, good. Okay, so why is JMRI Decoder Pro so important? Well, in the dark ages, way back when decoders came out, there was no such thing as JMRI. And here's what you had to deal with. If I can find it here. I think he told me it was here. And then full screen. You literally had to go, let's see if I can get it all the way out. There we go. You literally had to go to the manufacturer's website for your decoder. You had to go into, ask for the technical manual, because you're going to manually go in and change each one you want to change manually. And the fun part about it is it was all done in hexadecimal, and you had to convert it to the binary number to put into your decoder. So this is an example of one, CV29. We'll see it later on, hopefully, when we go through some of the screens on one of the screens on JMRI. And this is what you saw. I'll go up here. Well, we got a pointer here, I think, if I can see it. Or I should have made it bigger, blacker, or something. Okay, so back up here. This is what you had to. These are all the instructions down here. So in the binary section, there's 8 different binary numbers. And what you would have to do, depending upon what you wanted this decoder to do, in this case, the first part, DIR, is direction of the locomotive. So we're going to say we want it to go in normal direction. So we would put a 0 into this square.
You better take that locomotive off the track over there.
No, that's mine. If it runs off, then I die. Okay. Number 2 is F0, means that was a default value. No, F0 was how many speed steps you want your locomotive to run. 0 to 14 speed steps as a default, or 128, which gives you a bigger range of throttle control on your throttle. So we want to do, let's say we want to use 128 or 28 step speed. So we would put a 1 above this one. This is a 0 default, so you put a 0 above here. Over STE is speed table enable. Do you want to use the basic speed table? In this case, it's for decoder, for a tsunami decoder. It has a 3-point speed table or 100 or a 28-step speed table. So we'll keep it simple. We would use the 3-point speed table. So we would put a 0 over speed table. And then under extended address, do you want a 2-digit address or you want a 4-digit address? You had to tell it that. So we want a 4-digit address, so we're going to put a 1 up here. So to calculate the binary value, each square was as you start, or the binary it starts as 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, 128. And when you add them all up, you see this magic number, 255, which we always see as a range on decoders. That's where the 255 came from. So, and a lot of what you do here, they want to know, do you want to put 0 in, whatever in, up to 255 is your range you can put in. So then to convert the binary to a decimal, you take the value here, 0 times 1 is 0, 1 times 2 is 2, 1 times 4 is 4, 0 times 0 is 0, 0 times 16 is 0, 1 times 32 is 32, and 0 and 0 for the other ones. Then you add it all up and you get a value of 38. And that's the number you would put in for CV29. That's one of all the, for one control variable that you're going to put a value in your decoder. That's what we had to do. So now with Decoder Pro, it's all done in English language. It just tells you, here's what it is, what range do you want to put in, and so on. So it made it much easier than doing this. And at one time when we were doing this, actually Soundtrax put out a little slide rule way back in the dark ages, and you would put in the binary, the 00, the 001, 00110. You put it in here, and you'd look it up, and it'd tell you, oh, it's 38. That's what I got to put in into my decoder for CV29. So that's the old days. Okay, so we're going to go move on to
New days.
new days. Yeah, okay, how do I close this one out? Hit the X. Yeah, there we are. Stay there. Okay, and we can close that out too. And we're there. Okay, but we're not going to go there yet. Okay, so a lot of you have used the machine back here. Some of you may not. So when you come in here, first thing you're going to check on starting this up is to look on the floor, make sure the what do you call it?
Power supply?
The plug downstairs, yeah, the power strip, the surge protector is on. Then you go back up and look and make sure the DCC system on. Look at the DCC box. It's got four lights on it. The light should be on. That means you got power up there. Then the last thing you're going to do is turn on the computer there. The computer turns on the buttons here in the lower right corner to turn it on. I can't show you the screen here, but on the start screen, you'll see it automatically opens the Decoder Pro. Yes. You said, okay, so you don't have to double click on Decoder Pro to open it on the screen over there. So when you double click on Decoder Pro screen there, it opens up to, how do I get over the other, am I over in here? Okay, I'm over on the other screen. Okay. So how do I open up this one to a full screen?
Which one?
One side, yeah. Or do we want them both up there? Try full screen up there. No.
That was full screen. Yeah.
That was full screen, okay.
Zoom in is a question.
Yeah. It's just zoomed as.
How did you get it up to bigger resolution so you could read that? That one right there.
Well, that's just because it's a screenshot of it.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah,
how do we get to the real thing?
Yeah. So if you click on the new logo, you'll see the actual
okay.
screen.
Okay, that's how we got. Okay.
So this is actually legible.
Okay, we got it. Okay. So one of the first things we're going to open up is you got the screen open, and first thing you want to do is you're going to detect or read from the decoder on your locomotive. Now, if you have a new locomotive, hopefully it'll show up as address 3. If you bought it used, it may not, and you may put it on the track and never figure out how to get it to run. So that's one reason you want to go ahead and read the type of decoder. So, do I got to put it on the track to do that? Yes, sir.
You just said address 3. You probably should comment that address 3 is supposed to be the number that's in all new locos.
Right, that's
and it is a 2-digit, not 4-digit.
Right, we will get, yeah. Okay, I'm on. So if I go down here at the bottom of the screen, you'd click on retype a decoder. It's reading CV8, which tells them who manufactured the decoder down here at the bottom left, and then it will read CV7, hopefully, which will tell you the type of the decoder. Well, are we going to read or not tonight? It's reading it. It's attempting to. And the reason I put this one on is because when it opens up, you're going to see a bunch of blue decoders, and you're going to say, why all of that? And it doesn't like it, looks like it wants to read it.
Does it ask you the manufacturer of the decoder?
That's what CV8 is doing. What it's doing is looking for the manufacturer. It will find it, and then it will list all the decoders that match how that decoder is set up. And when the screen opens up, okay, it didn't read it for whatever reason.
Just manually close it and then manually do it.
I don't know.
I mean, you could choose the decoder.
Yeah.
Okay, I can choose decoder. Well, we'll do that. I know it's a soundtracks too.
I think it was a Digitrax. Oh,
No,
yeah,
different
sure.
logo.
Oh, yeah.
Changed locomotives on you because it was sound, and one reason it was do sound was to show. But this is a Tsunami 2. But what will happen is all of this will be open. It'll all be blue. Why will it all be blue? Because it's listing a whole bunch of different decoders. The reason they all open up and look blue and saying this could be your decoder is because it's basically the same decoder. It's just on a different board to fit a different locomotive. So it's the same decoder on all of these. So if you don't know what your decoder is, you can pick any one of the blue ones and open it up, and it will allow you to program your locomotive. Now, because it didn't read the decoder, I'll pick one.
Is it always blue? It's sometimes red? Is it?
No, it's always blue. It'll look like that. All of them will be lit up in blue that match the type of decoder that's in your locomotive. All possibilities. But they're all the same electronics, just on a different printed circuit board. So it would have detected all the blue, and I would have picked one of them. It happens to be the TSU 1100. And so this is the screen you would get as your first screen over there. So because it didn't detect it, normally if it detects it, it'll actually tell you what the address of the locomotive is right here under the active address. It'll tell you it's short or long, and it will tell you what it is. So you already know what your address will be, particularly if this is nice when you don't know what the address is when you buy somebody's locomotive used and you don't know if they set it back or not to the default codes. So then you would go down, and the first step you do is go down to the bottom page, the bottom right-hand corner, and you would click on Open Comprehensive Programmer. And this is the screen you get. And if you notice across the top, it opens it to the roster entry screen. And what's important about the roster entry screen is you should fill it out because it will save all the information when you're done programming your locomotive onto the computer. So if you're happy with those settings and you've saved them, if you go upstairs and something goes wrong with your locomotive and it doesn't behave the way you think it's supposed to behave, instead of doing a factory default and coming back in and changing all of the way you thought it was, they're there, and you just come back in and you say, write all sheets, and it'll restore your locomotive back to the way you had set it up here. So what you want to do is come in, and you want to come in and write put your name in. You can go F59 50HI. You can.
Where it says new loco.
Yeah, we get rid of you. Yeah, because it keeps that in there. And I spelled my name wrong, but what difference does it make? Okay, so there. Okay, and then you can fill out here the rest of the road name, the road number, who the owner is, whatever. You keep it as simple as just your name, the loco, and the loco number, if that's all you need to find it, because you want to find it on the screen back there. And then you would come down. Where'd my mouse around here? There we go. No, where did my mouse go? I can't see my mouse. I lost my mouse.
Put it. There, it's on the other screen.
Over on the other screen. Okay. Bad thing with two screens. I'm only a one screener.
Now you're in the middle.
Now I'm in the middle. Okay. Oh, I see where I'm at. Okay, I see it moving around here. Let's say once you put your information in about what your locomotive is, go down and save it to roster. That starts creating the file in the decoder when you start programming, the Endecoder Pro when you start programming the locomotive. When the screen first opens and the default lists all of the locomotives that are already stored in the computer, so you'll find your locomotive there, and all you do is click on that and then go to Open Comprehensive Programmer. So we saved it to roster. Now, if you look across the top of the page, okay, where did my mouse go again? Okay. I keep losing my mouse.
Do it this time. Sorry. Oh, it was on the other screen again.
Was it?
Yeah, there you go.
Okay. How did I lose it over in the, okay. So you saved it to roster and you're good there. If you look across the top here, there's a bunch of different entries: roster, basic motor, basic speed control, speed table, function map, lights, analog controls, sound levels, CVs, alternate sound, blah, blah, blah. Okay, most likely you're going to use the roster entry just like we did to set up your locomotive. You'll use the basic one, you'll use the motor one, you'll use basic speed control. We'll go through each one in a minute. You may choose to use the speed table. You probably won't fool with your lights, but it's possible to do that. And then the other important one is sounds, where you can change your horns or your bell, which sound of the horn or bell you want, if you want to do that, and then the actual sound levels. So let's just take a look at the basic entry. Okay, the basic entry is this is the one that you would change your address on your locomotive. You can mark it as a two-digit one. This one, the default saying it's a two-digit address, and the address is 3. You could come in and put in 4-digit address. You come in and change what your address do you want it to be. Okay, we'll add another 4 in there. Okay. The other, it's asking you, which direction do you want your locomotive to go? Normal direction is forward. You can change that if you're doing an ABBA set of passenger locomotives and you want the 2 locomotives reversed. You could say, I want to reverse those 2 and say reverse in there. And then here you can select your speed step, use the 128 for better control of your the throttle speed. It uses a full throttle, very good, and it's not interpreting only 14 steps. The other down here, this one here says DCC conversion enable or NMRA only. NMRA only says your decoder will only run in DCC, it will not run in DC. So the default is leave DC conversion enabled. Some people say recommend don't do that if you're always going to run in DC. And then you would say, you could either say write changes on sheet or write full sheet, and it will save your changes to your locomotive settings in there. Then the next screen you're going to go to is the motor function one. On this screen, this is where you would change acceleration rate, deceleration rate. Most of the companies have it at 0, but every once in a while you've got to look, because some of them will set it at 1, some will set it at 2, some may even set it at 4. And all that does is it just slowly, low number like that doesn't really affect the acceleration, deceleration that you would even notice it. But what it does help is it causes your motor, gives your motor time to stop before it flips the voltage to go in reverse. So that's one reason maybe to put in a small value, 3, 4, something like that. If you want a real, you got a real heavy freight train and you want to be able to have it speed up very slowly, you could put in a number up here, anywhere from 0 to 255, the magic 255 number. If you put 255 in it and you turn your throttle to full, it'd probably take it 3 or 4 minutes to get up the full throttle speed. And the same thing is true with deceleration. You can put any value in from 0 to 255. The larger the number, the longer it will take for it to slow down from the throttle speed that you had it set at. Usually the rest of them you don't screw around with. Have no idea with them. I end up having to look in the manual to even figure out what some of them are.
Usually when I'm doing this and I open up a page and it's got all those yellow boxes which say, I'm not really sure what these are.
Yellow are the default values that the JMRI programmer put in here as the default.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that's how the locomotive is set up.
If it was a 3 and came in, it would be yes.
Yeah.
One of the things I didn't say when I first, okay, am I over in the wrong screen again?
First thing I would do is hit read full sheet.
That's what I was going to go back to.
Yeah.
Under roster entry, I'm back over in the wrong screen again.
Here you go. You get it?
I don't,
That looks right.
what?
I don't see it. Oh, yeah, it's at the bottom
It's at the bottom,
of the screen.
the bottom of the other screen. Okay, which way do I get to that?
So you want to go to?
Oh, I got to go this way on this screen and not that way up there. Okay. Am I on the new screen? Yes, no?
I don't see it yet.
I don't see it. You need to make it a senior arrow, big and black. Okay, can you, yeah, we got to go in the program to do that. Yeah.
There we go.
Okay. All right. So what Paul was asking, you don't know if you buy a brand new locomotive and it came with with an address of 3, then I would go in and read all sheets. What it's going to go in is,
I don't know about all of them.
I would read all sheets.
Okay.
I would, and if you have a sound locomotive like this one, it's going to take 3 or 4 minutes to read a long sound locomotive. If it's just a DC locomotive, they'll probably read it under 1 to 2 minutes. And it will read every control variable that's in the locomotive. And each of those control variables runs some function on that little mini computer that's in your locomotive. So Paul's right. First thing I suggested, and I wrote it on here, was read all sheets. But, and then, okay. So, and then he was asking what are the yellow? Yellow are the default values that JMRI programmer put in for this decoder. So you could go in and change your acceleration to 5 and say, and deceleration to 5. Well, we're not going to talk about speed matching, so we would do something a little bit different there if we were doing speed matching. And then again, write it to your locomotive. And then next one, basic speed control. Decoder on tsunamis, you have 3 different speed settings you can do. You can do start, medium, and high. And each value could be up to 255. Again, the magic number. V start is CV2. So if you want to manually run the program, it would be CV2. V mid is CV6. So see, you got to keep remembering all these CVs. High is CV5. Why did they do it in that order? I don't know. I would have thought it'd been 2, 3, 4. I put them all in the linear or pattern. But you all you have to do is come in. You would adjust your V start to where when you first clicked it to the first click, your locomotive just starts moving. Because some of these coders, you can turn it up to step 13, 14, and they're not going to move until you get to 15. So this is one way to get the full range of throttle again on yours. So set it the V start to a number where your locomotive starts crawling. The other end of the spectrum is you can slow it down by putting in another value, a different value out here instead of the 255. This would bring the high speed down a little. And then you could set a mid volume in here, mid speed in here. And it also helps you if you have similar locomotives most of these numbers will be really close to the other locomotives that have that decoder in it. So it's pretty easy to do that. And then again, default, write the sheets. And it wrote it to your locomotive. If you want to verify that it took it, you can go down here and read the full sheet, and it should read right back what you put into it. Unfortunately, because we don't have that active, I'm not going to do that because I don't know where it'll end up at. So we'll go from there. So this is a 3-point speed table. Now, not every decoder manufacturer has the 3-point speed table. You go to Bachmann and they just give you the start voltage. You have no range of controlling it with like a 3-point speed table. You have to go to the 28-step speed table. And here you're going in and you're setting CVs for 28 different CV values to build your curve across here. You could, a straight line one is exactly what it is. This is 0 up to 255. You could drag it down and you can match ends. You can play things like that. But this would be a good topic for if we take up the topic of speed matching locomotives, because this is where you use these tables to do the speed match. Yes, sir.
You did make a comment that you should amplify a little bit. The JMRI takes the decoder type and tailors these displays so that you get what that decoder can do.
Right. You will not see all these tabs if it's a straight DC decoder, DCC decoder. This one had sound, so that was one of the reasons for throwing it on there and trying to. So you see all of the tabs up there, but if it's just a DC C decoder, it will have only probably half of these tabs or less up there. Meeting will end in 10 minutes. Oh, okay, you got to upgrade. Or I got to get faster. Okay.
All right, because we're using a different account.
That's all right. I will leave, like I said, I will leave the leftover papers over by the computer there, so anybody who wants to pick one up can pick one up. Okay, other ones you'll look at, if it's a sound decoder, this tells you the different sounds, you can select a different horn, pick a different horn if you want, same thing, you can do the bells, etc. So if you want to change those, but this is usually set up to the engine of your choice, the engine you bought. And so different decoders will have different ones here set differently depending on the locomotive type. The part one you will really want to look at is sound level. There's up at the top here is master sound volume. Again, every one of these is 0 to 255.
What CV is master sound?
I don't know. That's why this is good. For Broadway Limited, it's 133. For Tsunamis, it's 128. So again, different manufacturers use different CVs. So that's why JMRI is so good. You don't have to think about the CV. It says master control volume. You put the number in the value you want in there, and it will adjust the right CV to that value, the value you need.
How accurate though is JMRI? Because I remember we tried to read one of my locos I bought here, and it showed it was a Digitrax, but I took it to Arnie's like it's a lens decoder, so it's not always accurate. So how do you know the software always reads, or what percentage is it actually accurate versus not reading the type of?
I've never had that problem. I've been doing it for 10 years.
What happened to us?
I know.
That was one of those Digitrax that we took it to Arnie's. I got the lens decoder.
I don't know why. I really don't. I haven't seen it truthfully why it did that. So again, this is somebody like you and I sitting back at home, and we're setting up the program because it's an open source program. So as new decoders come out, somebody's programming in that's open source information for you and I to use here for free. So if it happens 1 out of 1,000 decoders, that's pretty good, truthfully. So yeah. So in here you might want to. Where did I lose you again?
You're way over here.
Okay, so that's going over there. So I got to go over to that side to get over.
And I don't see it now.
Okay, in this one, like Dana says, you like your horn a little bit loud. The bell is always too loud, so you soften the bell, and then you can adjust the overall master volume to soften everything across the whole board. When you do that, a lot of times, then your horn drops off quite a bit, and you don't really hear it. And the bell usually is too loud, so you're always usually pushing it back quite a bit because of the high frequency. So that's where you can do this here. You can adjust each one of these sounds to your liking on the locomotive. And then when you're done, we change that, and you write the changes and save it. So those are the basic tabs you're going to be using when you're using Decoder Pro over here to set your locomotive. Let's change one more and then forget about it. Okay, we changed that. So then when okay, I lost you again.
You're at the bottom.
I'm at the bottom. Okay, thank you for following that. You go back to your roster entry, and when you're all happy and satisfied with everything you've programmed in, you say save to roster again. And normally it would come up because I changed one of the point. Oh, I didn't save that point when I was over here. Let's go back over here to sound levels. Right changes on sheet. So I told the decoder I wanted to change this one here, and I did. And if I go back to the roster, and I say save roster, normally it comes back and says, if you fail to save it to your decoder, you get an error message up here saying save and close or close. So, oh no, that would happen over here if I didn't save it. Okay, that's when you do the sound level. Let's try change one more. I didn't save that. Go to roster entry, and I go to close. If I screw up and I say I'm going to close it, where am I on there?
You're almost at the X.
Over that one?
Nope, the other one. You're underneath the red bar here.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Yeah.
Can I slide the bar over?
Actually, you can just drag the whole window.
I don't think you can move the whole bar. You can drag it down, grab it, now click it and pull it down.
Okay,
That should be area.
let's do that for now. If I close it, it should there. Okay, you have if I fail to write it to the decoder, it gives you one last chance before you sign out to say, I want to save all the things that I changed. So some changes have not been written to the decoder. They will be lost. Close Windows, cancel, save it to the roster, and then you can.
You still didn't write it to the decoder.
Yeah, I still didn't write to the decoder. Okay. Usually, it says save changes and then close.
There might be a difference in version. I don't know. This is a stable version as of July or something.
Okay, well, yeah, I thought that's what it did. Okay, they will be lost. Okay. Okay, the other way to correct that would be is write all changes on sheets at the bottom, and that would pick up anything you failed to save before. Okay, and then it saved it all in here. And then if I went back in there, this is what the opening screen would look like, and then it goes you back in here and it will show all this, everything that you saved going through the whole program, and it's all there. Then you have, like I said, if your locomotive got screwed up, and like I moved my mouse around again, it got screwed up. Oh, there we go. You can go in and tell it to write all sheets, and it will go in and rewrite everything that you'd saved, plus all the defaults that you didn't change, back into your locomotive and set it back to the way it was when you closed the program. So it sets it back to the way you set it. If all else fails, you can click on Reset Defaults, and what it will do is go back and put all those yellow numbers that the programmer put into your decoder, and supposedly set it back, and it will set it back to address 3. So it's like you have a brand new locomotive and you got to start all over again. So That's one reason I recommend you save it back on the computer here so that you don't have to go back and start re-guessing. How did I program this one before? What do I need to adjust this and adjust that? Yes, Jesse.
I have a question. Sometimes when I do some of the Boston ones that I buy,
Which ones?
like the Boston GP40s or the Boston T45s,
Yes.
it'll say not reading, but it still changes everything on it, but it says it's not reading. Why would that happen? Boston or Broadway? Boston. Broadway too. Sometimes, yeah. I guess is it something
I
that,
think I can tell you, but it gets pretty detailed.
okay. But it still changes the program and the address.
It all has to do with the fact that you've got a capacitor in there for people.
Yeah.
And the voltage doesn't come up fast enough because it's charging that capacitor. And therefore, it doesn't recognize that there's a
Signal going out to it or command going
because
out to it.
Relays that kind of goes to a resistor.
buffer. So
Yeah.
the other one, when you're writing, it always tries to do a read before it writes. So it's already got the voltage up because the read went. So the write works, and then you can't ever tell it's there. Now, we've
Yeah.
had some success
less than a minute.
playing
Yeah, we're basically done. If there's questions.
we've had some success with certain decoder drivers that have higher voltage because they drive the voltage up faster. But that's basically what it is. You have to know the pattern.
Yeah,